BandLab is a great digital audio workstation that's free and is available to Mac users as well as PC and Android. It works on both computers as well as cell phones. The app is also cloud-based, so you can share stuff directly with musicians all across the world. In this video, we're going to be taking a project that I've started and we're going to copy it. BandLab calls this forking. And then we're going to create our own track and record over the backing tracks that I made previously. There's lots of really great features in BandLab, especially considering that it's free. So first things first, let's get started making an account. Okay, so here we are on the landing page of BandLab. The first thing we want to do is sign up and create an account if you don't already have one. This part is pretty straightforward. Enter your name, email, and password. I'm just going to quickly make another account besides the main one that I use. The next page we see is our profile, and so this allows us to add our own picture and also set an easier username to find than the default one that BandLab creates for you. After you answer a few questions so that they can sort out which type of musician you are, then you are brought to your profile page. So like I said earlier, what we're going to do is we're going to fork or copy one of my projects that I've already made and then make our own project out of that. So to do this, we first need to find my ordinary account. Let's just try searching my name. And again, Kris Sveen. And then you see my account here. This is the picture for my normal one. Not to be confused with this one that I'm making for this tutorial video. Let's click on this. Alternately, you can also enter in my direct URL to find my account. You can see this at the top here. So it's bandlab.com/Kris_Sven. So I've made quite a few different projects within BandLab, but the ones that we're going to be looking for are ones that I made forkable, or the ones that you're allowed to copy and do your own version of them. You can see this with this green bubble icon in the bottom right. It says fork. And so by clicking that, it's going to make our own copy of this project. So I'll do that to this first one here. From there, it asks us, has been added to our projects, and it says, do you want to start working on it in Mix Editor now? You can also keep it for later if you just want to start forking a bunch of them and then go back later and start those projects. I'm going to keep it for later in case you want to do another one, and it'll bring us back. And then I'll just quickly fork one of these other ones. And then this one I'm going to open up in the Mix Editor. So after it loads, it takes us to the project. These projects that I have here are only one track basically, and it's a backing track that includes guitar, bass, and also a drum track. What we're going to do with this project is we're just going to record another track over this backing track. A few things that you'll want to note. I've already pre-programmed the tempos in this. You can notice that this project starts on the second measure, and that's because this song, It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing, has what we call a pickup note. So we're going to have to play in this first measure before the band kicks in. So I just went ahead and put the backing track in the second measure so that we could record before that. The tempo here is set to 145 beats per minute. We can also raise this or lower this depending on what you want to do with the project. Just keep in mind that when you slow down audio, you can get what we call artifacts, and it can degrade the overall quality. However, speeding it up is pretty much always fine. It might sound a little bit weird in some parts, but as far as quality is concerned, it's not going to have any problem speeding it up. So the first thing that we want to do is add our new track that we're going to record on. You want to be careful not to record over the backing track because it will delete what is already there. So instead, there's this icon here that says Add Track. We're going to click that. After that, it's going to ask us, what type of track do we want to record? You can see there's a lot of different options, but probably what you're going to do for this one is use the voice or mic. An exception to that is if you have, say, a MIDI keyboard that you want to plug in to the computer and trigger the sounds within BandLab, that's an option. Or if you have some sort of way that you could plug your guitar or bass directly into the computer, then you could use these two, and that would allow you to access different effects that they have. We're just going to click the voice/mic one. Now we have a new track here. You can go ahead and rename this just by double clicking on it. I'll just call it guitar, and I'll also put melody. Okay, so now we're ready to start recording. Before we do this, I just want to point out that I do prefer to use the cell phone version of this program, and that's because the cell phone app actually downloads directly to your phone or your tablet, and therefore runs a lot more smooth and also gives you better sounding audio. However, if this is all you have, this is totally fine. It just runs through Google Chrome, so it's actually recording to the internet. And what that does is sometimes it will create artifacts and you'll get pops or clicks in your recording. The first mistake that I often see people make is that they don't wear headphones when they record. This is important because if the backing track is playing through the speakers of, say, my laptop or my cell phone, that sound's going to be picked up in the microphone, which is where I also want to record my instrument into. The more isolated your instrument is, the better it's going to sound. Therefore, you need to wear headphones so that you still hear the backing track, but it's not picked up into the microphone. So most headphones can be broken down into two groups, and we have the types that come with a cell phone, and we also have like these over-ear ones that sound better but don't have a built-in microphone. These ones have a built-in microphone because they're meant to be used with phone calls and such things. These sound good because they are close to your instrument. However, you have to be careful not to get a lot of rustling noise from it moving around on your clothes or brushing against your instrument. If you choose to use the over-the-ear headphones like this, then you're going to be using the microphone that's built into your laptop or the one that's built into your cell phone. First, let's take a look at what it's like to record with headphones that don't have a microphone. Alright, so now that I've got my headphones and I've got my instrument, I'm ready to start recording. Before I do that, I'm going to go down here to where it says source, and I want to make sure that that says my built-in microphone, and that's because I'm trying to use the microphone that's built into my laptop. However, if you have a USB microphone, just make sure that you see the name of that here, and then you'll be recording with that. It might default to the built-in microphone first, so always double check to make sure that it's on the correct input source. The other button we see here is the monitoring button. And what this allows us to do is we can hear what's actually being recorded. However, there is a little bit of latency, meaning from the moment I play my instrument to when I hear it being recorded in the headphones, there's a little bit of a delay, and that can be disorienting. So we want to fix that as much as possible. To do that, we're going to go up to the settings here. And then there's this little icon that says latency test. So let's click on that. It says, feeling like you're slightly behind the beat? This test will correct the latency caused by your computer hardware. Please make sure your headphones are unplugged and have your microphone close to your speakers. So I'm going to unplug my headphones, and then I'm going to start the test. So there, it's done. It says I have a latency of 220 milliseconds, and it says this correction will be applied the next time you press record. If you don't do this first, then when you record and you listen to it back, it's going to sound like you're really off from the backing track. So now that we've done this, it's going to go ahead and fix it for us. So let's plug our headphones back in, and we're ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is to check our input. So you can see as I'm talking, we're getting some red here, and that's not good. That means it's going to clip, and we're going to get some distortion. I'm not going to be talking or singing. I'm going to be playing my guitar, so I'm going to play that and check. And to me, that looks pretty good. It's in the yellow, it's not in the red, and it's also not too low down in the green. When in doubt, always go a little bit lower, because you can always boost the volume, but if it clips and distorts, you cannot get that out of the audio. So now we're done. I'm going to hide this and click the X. And before we record, just make sure, double check that this track is highlighted and not the backing track. Because if I accidentally clicked this, then I will record over that. So I'm going to click my guitar melody one, and now I'm ready to record. So now that I've recorded my track, I'm ready to listen to it back and also adjust the volume so that it matches up nicely with the backing track. And you'll notice that we have a new region here that's colored blue, and that's the track that I just recorded. These little, what we call faders here, adjust the volume of each individual track. So if I want the backing track quieter, I just move this to the left, like so. And if I want something louder, like the guitar, I can boost that up. So let's listen to it. And first, I'm noticing that it's a little bit quiet, so I'm going to turn that volume up, and then also maybe the backing track down a little bit. And listen again. And yeah, that sounds pretty good to me, and that's perfectly fine to then forward that or share it. So you can see on here, I have my guitar volume pretty much maxed out, and I might want it a little bit louder. I could bring the audio of this down more, but there's another option that you can do. If we go down here to Effects, we can click this plus Add Effect. And what we're going to use is in this Dynamics subfolder, and we're going to use a compressor. Compressors compress the audio signal, and in effect, they make it a little bit louder. So let's see what it sounds like with this now. So I'm noticing clipping now, so I'm going to back down my audio on the fader again. And you can see as I'm moving that, we have that same fader over here. So we can also adjust the volume of this track here. So let's listen. And if you want more effect on this, you can adjust this threshold knob here, and that will change the volume of the track. And one final thing that you could do to add to it is add a little bit of reverb by moving this knob here. And I would not overdo this, so usually it's maybe somewhere around like below 10% sounds good. So there you go. We've recorded a track, we've mixed it a little bit, and we've also added some effects to make it sound a little bit better. Now, I still don't really like the way this sounds, and that's because the microphones on my laptop, also like cell phones are similar to this, they're not the best. They're not designed for music, so they're going to sound a little bit off, and there's only so much you can do. You're just going to have to live with it. It is worth investing in USB microphones or an interface if recording something you think you might want to get into more. But for now, this is perfectly fine just to use what we have. So now I'm going to show you the same process, but I'm going to do it with the headphones. Instead of just recording over the previous track that I did, I'm actually going to create a new track once again. Now, I want to make sure that I mute that first track. So that's what this M stands for here. The S stands for solo. So if for some reason I just wanted to hear one track, then you click the S button and it'll only play that. But in this case, I don't want to hear the previous track that I recorded, so I'm going to press the M to mute it. So once again, I want to do a sound check to make sure that the levels are correct here. To me, that looks a little low, so I'm going to turn my amplifier up. And so now as I'm playing that, I'm seeing it in the yellow and a little bit of the orange, which is exactly what I want to see. So I'm ready to record now. Okay, so now that we've recorded the track using the earbuds, now we're going to listen to it back and adjust the sound just like we did before. So here's a couple other things that you might find interesting. If you want to delete a track, you can just click the three dots there, and at the very bottom you see delete track, and that would remove it. So one other thing that you might want to do is extend this track if you wanted to record more than 2 choruses. Because by default, I only have put in 2 choruses of this song. So I'm going to go to the very end, and now that this track is selected, I see 2 icons. I see the this bottom one, which is going to trim this track, and you can see it removes where the audio file's at, and then also you can see where the sound stops if I try to bring that one forward. But what I can also do is click this looping button, and what that allows me to do is take this track and extend it further. And what it's doing is it's grabbing the audio from the first part and just repeating it once more. This song is 64 bars long, so I just want to make sure that I extend this the full 64 bars. Make sure that you don't have the hand icon here, because what that's going to do is it's going to actually move everything, and we don't want to do that because now that's going to come out of alignment with my recording of my guitar. So if I wanted to extend this, it'd probably be easier if I zoom out. So I'm going to click here and keep clicking that until I see pretty much the whole thing. And then I'm going to grab that loop with the arrow and then just keep dragging that until it looks like it stops. And you can see there's a small line there. So I'm going to stop it right here. And then that would be now 4 choruses long. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but if you wanted to jam out on this song for a little bit longer, that's how you would do it. So now that I've got the track, the length I want, and I got the take that I want, I can now publish this song. And by publishing, it doesn't actually mean that it's going to make it public. You can actually control that. It will, but you can also select unlisted. And this is similar to YouTube, where it creates something that you can share. It's not completely private, but it's also not public in the way that people can just find it by searching. You can make it forkable if you want other people to extend on your version. We're just going to keep that the same. You can also rename it. I can add a description, added guitar track. Then I click publish. After that, it gives me a confirmation that it's done. Then I'm going to go back. And then this is the main screen for this track. I can see added guitar track in the description there, and I can now share it. So I'm going to click on the share button. That brings up this little box here. Write a post, share with community. That's all within BandLab itself. But these last two, we have send as a message or share or embed. So say we wanted to email this, I would click this, and then I would copy this URL, and you're ready to go. So now we're going to go through the same process, but this time we're going to use the cell phone. Most things are the same, but there's just a few differences that we'll want to take note of. First, I'm going to click the red button that says open. And it gives me 2 options, video mix or mix editor. I'm going to click mix editor because we're not making a music video. And then it brings me to the session, and it looks similar to what it did on the laptop. Now we're just going to click and create a new track with the plus sign. And we want voice/mic once again. And now we have a new track. And so the big difference between the cell phone version and the laptop is that the input monitoring is not a meter where we saw that green, yellow, and red. Instead, we're just going to have to listen to it to make sure that it's not clipping. To do this, we need to turn on the input monitoring, which is the speaker looking symbol. And then I'm just going to play a little bit to make sure that I don't hear any distortion. And I don't, so that sounds good. I'm going to turn that off. And now before I start recording, I just want to click the metronome on, which is in the bottom right hand corner. And now I'm ready to record. So now that I've recorded my guitar, I just want to listen to it back to make sure that the levels sound good. I'm going to click the microphone icon twice, and that opens up this menu which has effects in it, and I can click on that. And then from here, I've gone ahead and I've added an equalizer, and I pulled down the highs because I found that there was a lot of rustling with the microphone on these earbuds. And then I also added the digital compressor, just like we did on the laptop. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ready for export. To do this, we just go back and we're going to click the cloud icon in the upper right. Click Publish. Here, just add a description, added guitar. Check. And then in the additional settings, this is where we're going to find that unlisted option. So just click that on and we're ready to go. Click the green check mark in the upper right and revision publish. Click view. And now here we go. This is the revision that we made. Just click the sharing arrow, copy link, and now that's ready to be pasted into an email or however way you want to share it. So there you go, that's BandLab, and it's actually pretty cool considering that this program is free and you can use it on the cell phone and a computer, as well as being able to share your projects directly with other musicians. We only scratched the surface of the things that you can do with this program, so have some fun and explore around. Don't forget to share your projects with me, and I can't wait to hear what you guys do.